for this lesson, lesson 4, we'll be looking at the revolved features by creating this wheel hub here. And we'll be putting together, students will be modify all of these parts. This will be your completed assembly, is the entire tire, and you'll be putting your name on the side of the wheel hub and creating an assembly to put everything back together. So let's take a look at the first thing we'll be doing today, and that is we will be creating this circular object. All right, so we're gonna open SolidWorks, and we're gonna have a new part. And what we're going to do is we're going to start on the right plane, and we're going to create this. This is approximately 25 by 25. Now, if you see here, this is 21. That's approximately 25 by 25. And we're going to be creating a center line to use, and we're going to be going right off our origin. Using that, we're going to go from the top left side of our origin to put this together. All right, so we have our new part. All right, we're using the right plane, and we're going to create a sketch, and it's going to be rectangular. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the corners, not the center like we were doing before. First thing I want everyone to do is let's go into our tools, and let's make sure that we have this in millimeters. So we're going to hit tools. We're going to hit tools, we're going to come down to options, and then we're going to go for the document properties, and we're going to do units, and a lot of might be set to inches. We want it to be on millimeters, and then we're going to hit OK so we know what we have here. So here's our origin point, and this is our right plane. We're going to do our corner box. So as we see from the drawing, we want it to be approximately not smart dimension, but approximately 25 by 25 millimeters. So we can look at that, and that's approximately that. Now, if the box is small, I can just roll in with my mouse. I can just roll in to make that larger. And let's take a look. So we have our box from the origin. Sketch a center line to the right. So we're gonna come up here, and we're gonna go on center line, and we're going to do the same thing from the origin. We're gonna draw a center line to the right. So this is what we have so far. So dimension the top of the line to be 21 millimeters. So we're gonna smart dimension the top across. And we're going to want our circle to be a diameter of 40. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to want to make this 20 for our dimension upwards. So let's take a look at this. Now we got our smart dimension tool. We go, okay, that's great. We go, yep. We go to our smart dimension tool, and we have this set up. We don't want that. Turn that off. Click Smart Dimension tool. We're going to want to pick this line, and we want this to be 20 millimeters, 20 mm. We hit OK, and we want this top to be 21 millimeters, 21 mm, and we hit OK there. All right, and we can go off the Smart Dimension, and now that we have it smart dimension, so that our diameter is going to be 40, so we have this is going to be 20. What we're going to do is come down here, and we're going to revolve the hub. So we click the Revolved Boss Base Features on the Features toolbar. So we go to our Features toolbar, and we do Revolved Boss Base, and you can see it already set it across for us. So we want this line to be our index line here, which was pre-selected, and we want this to be 360 degrees. So we look at this, we have line 5, which it could be a different line number, but the one we have is line 5 because we have the 4 lines for our rectangle, and then our center line was line 5. And we want this to go around 360 degrees in one dimension. So we're just going to leave it, for the dimension, we're going to leave it blind. And that's our one dimension. All right, and then I hit OK, and we have our circular shape here. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the center holes. And once again, we go to the right plane, and we want to have the right view, and we're going to draw on that plane. We're going to draw this shape, and then we're going to smart dimension this shape so that this is 8 across, this is 18, so 18 from top to bottom would be, half of that would be 9, and then we have up and down here we have 14 plus 14 is 28, so this would be 14 up and down, and this would be 9 over here, and then this is obviously 8 across. And then these lines are just going to fall. We're not going to smart dimension these lines. This across is going to be 21 because it's the entire length, and then these lines will just fall into our dimension. So the first we're going to do is we're going to draw all these lines in retrospect on the right plane using our right view to do that. So I'm going to click on this, and I want that's the left view, that's the front view, this is the right view. So I got the right view, and I'm going to click on the right plane to select that. So you can see it says right plane, and now I'm going to pick sketch because I want to draw on the right plane. So I have the right plane selected first of all, and I'm on my right view, and I'm going to pick sketch, and I want to draw a line across, starting with our center point. So I'm going to draw a regular line. I'm going to draw a line across, fully across. All right, and then I want this line directly on the line that I have, and I want that to be about 14. So I'll smart dimension that. And then this, I want this to be about 8. I'm going to smart dimension that. And then I want this to go down a little bit. And then I want this line to go over. And then this line should be 9. It's a little more than line, but now I'm going to smart dimension everything. So I go, okay, that's great. That's great. So now I'm going to smart dimension. So this line was already selected. If I didn't want to select that, I would select off smart dimension, and then I would click somewhere. You see how that was blue and now it's not blue anymore? And then I click select smart dimension. Then I could pick any line I want. So I can pick this line here, and I could say I want this to be 8 millimeters. And then I could pick this line here, and I could say I want this to be 9 millimeters. And then I could pick this line here, and I could say I want this to be 14 millimeters. Alright, so something I have to add to this now, I click off my smart dimensions and click that, I want that. And then I could want a center line right off the base going in this direction, just like I had before. And that's because I'm gonna do something here. So I got this all drawn, 14 up, 9 across, 8 across, and then these just fall right into place. Now I'm going to do the Revolve Cut on the Features menu, and I'm going to pick that line that I had drawn, my center line, and it's going to revolve it around. So I go, this is great, this is great, Features, Revolve Cut, and you can see that it already picked this line over here. If it didn't pick it, I could click somewhere else. So that's line 6. That's not going to work as good. So I want line 9, which is this one way over here, and I want that to be 306 degrees, and we'll leave this in blind again. And then when I click on this, so it doesn't look like anything happened, but if I click on my right arrow, you could see that I've trimmed this circle out, and I have something that looks like this now. So we save this and we name it the wheel hub. So now I'm going, okay, I got this done. File, save as, and I'm going to call it the wheel hub. And make sure you put it in a file where you know where it's going to go. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to change this, and I'm going to go to my POE folder. And this is lesson 4, and I'm just going to put the wheel hub in there and save it. So now I know exactly where my file is. If I want to open it tomorrow and add more to it, then I can do that. So we got this done. Now we're looking at patterns. We're looking at creating a spoke. All right, so create the sketch on the front plane, and you want the front view to do that. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here, and we're going to open this up again. And we have our left view, our front view, our right view, our back view. We want the front view, right? So this is what it looks like. And then we're going to go on the front plane. So I'm going to click on that. And you can see this is going to say front plane. And then we go on sketch. And now I'm going to open my sketch. You can see here's our origin here. And it says use dynamic mirror entities, but I don't like using dynamic mirror entities. We're going to mirror. We're just going to use regular mirror entities. So we're going to draw this center line from the origin, as it states. So zoom out a little bit. I'm going to pick center line, and just says draw a vertical center line up. So that's what we'll do. Pick the center origin. Straight up. I can zoom out while I'm doing this. Doesn't give us any specific measurement, so that looks good. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to sketch a line from the hub outward. Symmetric line will appear. So we're drawing this line out to the side. And like I said, I'm not going to do the dynamic mirror entities. I'm just going to do a mirror entity, so that it is symmetrical. So okay, this is great. Okay, so now I have a regular line, and I pick. See how that turned orange right there? I pick a point, and I'm going to draw outward from there. And now this is what I'm talking about, is I'm going to pick the mirror entities. I could do it now. And this line is already selected. It says line 2. And what do I want to mirror it about? I want to mirror it about this. So now I have that on the other side. I say, okay, that's great. So now I have these 2 lines. I could have done it as a dynamic mirror entities, but it just seems a lot easier for me to do it correctly, to do what do I want to do, and then I mirror it around a center line that I created. Alright, so it says add a coincident relationship. Click add relations on the sketch toolbar, and add a relation. Select one of the lines in the origin and click to make a coincident relationship. So I already had quick. See, this is already a coincident. See, it says right there, coincident relationship. The fact that I had made this line orange when I drew the line made it coincident to begin with. So I don't have to do that, but it's obviously important that I check to make sure that that little image is there, that I made it coincident as it was. Alright, so add angular dimension between the 2 of them so that it's 40 degrees between the 2 lines. So we go on our smart dimension here. Smart dimension. I click on this line, and then I click on this line, and then I make it 40. It's 40 degrees is what it's going to be. So you can see this made it 40 degrees. So that's all set right there. And then create a center point arc to close the top of it. And then set the radius to be 43 degrees. So get off the smart dimensions. I want a center point arc, and this is obviously the center point. I click on the center and I drag, and then I click on this guy and I draw that across until this turns orange on this side. I can let go, and now I say, okay, that's great. And then I smart dimension this so that I want this to be 43 millimeters for the radius. So it's set at 49, so I'm gonna put 43 mm. And now I have this shape up here. It's gonna be a spoke. All right, so now we're going to talk about converting entities and trim entities. So we come all over here to close this geometric entity so we can do something with it. All right, so you can see we're gonna create this line right here. So first thing it says, click the convert entities and select the outside edge of the hub. So we go to convert entities, so we want to convert entities. Well, let's get rid of this first. So that's good. Okay, so now we go to convert entities. So we have convert entities. We want to make sure we're there, and we click on the outside. See how this whole thing turned orange? So the whole thing turned orange. Okay, that's great. So that means we selected that whole edge right there. The entire circular edge has been converted to circle. To trim the entity, select Trim Entities from the sketch, and then trim the closest, and then click on the part that we're being trimmed away, which is this outside part. See the little scissors they have right there? So we go, okay, that's great. This is what we wanted. And then we go on Trim Entities, and then our Trim Entities, it might already be selected because this is the one we use a lot. So you go Trim the closest, and we click on the outside edge, and that trimmed it away. Didn't really look like much happened, but if I zoom in, you'll see that this part of the circle is still dark, and this part isn't. And what we did was we ended up cutting away everything that was outside of these two lines, and then keeping this. So this is a closed geometric shape. Now it's a closed unit. So we have from this dot is connected to this dot, connected to that dot, connected to that. And what you will see is now we can come down here and we can extrude the spoke, right, to a blind depth of 15 millimeters. All right, so we go to, okay, that's great. We close that up. We go under features and we go extrude boss base, and it's already set at 10 millimeters, but we want it 15 mm. And then I can click somewhere. And what I want to do is I'm going to do the arrow, and I want to make sure that it's going in the right direction. Okay, and that is the correct. That's the correct direction it's going in. So I said okay, and this is what we have now. Okay, so we have this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do task 7. We're already task 7. We're going to create a bolt hole. And to do that, we're gonna click on this sketch face to highlight it, and we're going to orient it in the front so we can look at it. And we're going to sketch a circle with the center and its origin and its dimensions are going to be 63. So we need to create a center line and a circle for construction so that we get a where it kind of crosses, intersects, we know exactly that's where we're going to create this. So let's take a look at this. First thing we want to do is we want to look at the front hub here. We're gonna select the front face, and we're gonna do a sketch, and we want a center line that goes from the center point up straight, and it just so long as it's larger than our whole wheel hub is all we need to know. And then that's great. And then we're going to go on our circle. I'm going to go on a regular circle. So select it. And I start in the middle, and I pull this out. And this is our smart dimension. We're going to smart dimension this. So this is where we can do right here for construction. So if you click on that, you'll see it's dashed lines now. It's not a real circle, it's an imaginary circle that we're going to use for construction purposes. We're going to smart dimension that so that it's 63.5. 63.5 millimeters. Alright, and we go, okay, that's great. So now we have this intersection, our straight line up, and this circle that's 63. So this is the center point of our spoke, our wheel hub spoke. And now we're going to add a hole. We're going to use the hole wizard. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to select the face of the spoke again. And then we're going to insert feature hole wizard. And we want to set all these dimensions the way we want it. So exit sketch. First thing we do is we select the face, and then we want to do our hole wizard. Let's see. Insert feature hole wizard. Insert features hole wizard. And this is a little bit different because this is the latest version. So what we're going to want here is we want this kind of hole. This one still the same. Want this kind of hole, and we want it to be metric, so it's in inches. So we're going to change that to metric. And then we want screw clearance type. So type screw clearances. And I think that's, let's see what we got here. And then we want M6 and through all. M6 and through all. So through all is selected. Alright, so that's fine. So this one. Now for position, so we got all this. This is all set. We clicked here. We want metric. We want screw clearances, M6, and then through all. The rest of it we can keep the same way. All right. So now you click on the positions tab. You could edit the location, and so let's go to our positions. So this is our positions, and this is really nice. So you could see I have this circle coming in here, and that orange circle right there is where they intersect. So I just click there, and there was this newer version is a lot easier. So we had it all set, and then it intersects. So now we can just hit the, and there's our hole. So there you go. It's that simple. Alright, so this is what we have. It looks fine like now. Now we're going to add a hex cut. So we want to go to create a sketch on the face shown. So we're going to select that face, and then we want to do the normal 2 standards view and select it, zoom in, and use the polygon tool. We could just draw it right in the middle. We'll show you that. The instructions say to go offset a little bit. Alright, so first thing we want to do is want to select the face. It says to do the normal view. I'm not going to do that. I don't think I really need it. So I'm going to go on sketch, and then I want the polygon tool, and I think we want 6 sides, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 6 sides. And oh, here's all the. We weren't going to want it to be concentric, and we're going to want the diameter to be 10.5 millimeters. All right, so I selected this. We're on the face. So concentric means they have it do off to the side, and then they add relations. But this is concentric right here. So I'm just going to start right at that little orange point, and I'm going to pull this out, and we're gonna. It's going to look like this, but we're gonna straighten it out. So I click that, and then I'm going to want to smart dimension this, and I'm going to want the circle part to be I think 10.5 millimeters. All right, so 10.5 millimeters. All right, so that's the correct size. And you go, okay, that's great. All done with that. All right, so now what we want to do is I drew it horizontal, but we're gonna add relationships there. So we can do add relations, and I could just pick any one of these lines. I could pick this one or this one. I only need one line though. So I pick one line, and I want it to be horizontal. So you can see it turned slightly. So now I know it's truly horizontal. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to extrude cut, and a depth of 6.5 millimeters. So I'm going to, it's a 15, I want 6.5 millimeters. And you can't see anything yet, but you can see that I cut it. Let me zoom out so that you can compare this to the picture we have, and you can see that we have that. All right, so before I do anything else, I'm going to save it. It asked me to change this sketch to hex cut. It's not really necessary, but obviously I can right click in there, or I could double click on it. There we go. And I can hit backspace. Right, here we go. And I could call it hex cut. It's just simply so you know exactly this is the hex cut. It's not really necessary that you do that, but it's nice to be able to do it so that you have a better understanding of what we have over here. Now, once again, I said I was going to save it, so I'm going to hit File, Save. You should probably save more often than me in case you run into some type of mistakes, but here we are, very good place to be. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to end up chamfering our dimensions. And we're going to chamfer all these sides all the way around all 6 sides. No big deal. And this is what we want our chamfer. It's going to be 1/32 inches, or if you type that in 1/32 IN, it'll convert it to millimeters for us to give us a more precise measurement in millimeters. So let's go ahead and do that. SolidWorks, we have chamfer, and just start with one line. And here's in inches. I go 1 divided by 32, I think, right? 32, and IN for inches. And if I just click somewhere, is that 45 degrees still? Full preview. There we go. There we go. So you can see it's translated into millimeters for us. And then I just pick these lines. I could zoom in. Make sure that I get the exact line I want. I could also push my arrows here. So that I know I'm getting the exact line I want. And then I got all 6 of these lines. I hit OK. And there it is, nice and chamfered. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Rotate it a little bit so you see. Click off that. So there you go. You got your nice chamfer there. All right, so we're done with that part. We got all those faces. All right, so now we're on the rim. We're going to create the rim. And once again, we're going to want the right view, and we're going to want to select the right plane. And then we're going to draw this shape, and then we're going to end up smart dimensioning it way over here. We're going to end up smart dimensioning it. And then we'll revolve it out. All right. So, right view. Right plane. It says right plane there. Sketch. Let's see. So, no exact measurements are given to us right here. You're going to see, here's where our exact measurements are given to us. You're going to see that you want to draw these lines. All right, let's zoom in. All right, so zoom out, zoom in. That's about right. All right, so you could see that this is the curve, and you can see here's where the lines are. So you want to start this line that's about 9, and you want that to be just a little distance under the line, and then you're going to want this line to be just a little bit above the line, and you're going to want these to be more than halfway across, and you're not going to want to lock in on these lines here. So you got to kind of do this a little bit slow, especially at the start point, so that you have something that's approximately what you want it to be. So I'm gonna do just these lines right here, and I'll show you how to do it. So we got line. So I start on this line, and it's just a little bit below here, and I want to be about 9. So this is 9.35. So that's fine with me. You don't have to be that perfect. Then I want to be just a little bit. So if I stop on these points here, any of these points, I'll lock the measurement in on that. So I don't want to stop at any of those points. This one is just a little bit above it. And let's see what we have here. That's 7.5. So I'll draw this. So I don't want to stop there because that'll lock it. That's, you can see this line here. I don't want to lock it in that position. So I got something like 7 point, there's 2.6. So that's close enough for me. Then let's see, what else do we got here? So then I'm going to do an angle here from here to that line, right on that line, but I don't want to go all the way to the top. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm drawing a line from here, and I don't want to stop there. See this halfway line? That'll lock it in that position. So here's a good place. Anywhere in here is a good place to lock it in. So that one's there. And then this is just a little line. So this is nice. I don't want to stop here though. So this yellow line I'm on shows that it's parallel. And I'm going to have to make these parallels. That's fine. But this line here locks into that position, and there's a line here. I don't want to lock into that position either. So here's a good spot. So I just go like that. And I look at my picture again, and I go, okay, now I have to go over just a little bit farther than this edge here. So I'm going to draw a line out, and I want it to be just a little bit over that edge. So that looks about right. And then I want to draw a straight line out that's about 15. So do this about, there we go, 12, 13, 14, 15.19. That's fine. So that's about where I want it. So now I'm going to do a little step up, a little step over, and then a line that's about right to, yeah, about 9, and then it should be 7 across. Or I could do this. Well, we'll do that first. So there's a lot of ways we can do this. So this is going to go up a little bit, and then it's going to be over a little bit, and then it's going to be up about 9. And then it should be over about 7, but it's a little too much. But this is going to be, we're going to smart dimension this stuff. All right, so there we go. So now we have this shape. So we go, okay, that's great. That's great. Now we're going to hit the smart dimension tool. Oh, let's click somewhere off the smart dimension. Click. And now I do smart dimension. So let's look at this one is 15. So let's just make that 15 millimeters. This one is 9. Let's make that 9 millimeters. And we're hoping we don't get any major flaws. This one's 7 across and 9 up. So let's do this 7 millimeters. This one's 9 millimeters. This one's 7.5, and this one's 17, and this all the way across is 30. So let's do 7.5 first. This one's 7.5 millimeters. From this point to this point is 17 millimeters, and from this point to this point is 30 millimeters. So we have from this point to this point right there. Oh, it's already 30. Just cancel it. So that's 30, so that's good. We already had it there. Alright, so now let's take a look at what we have here. So, oh yeah, we got this. these three are parallel, and these two are equal to each other. All right, so what we do for those, we do, so these two we see the parallel, so they're already parallel. So I'll get off the smart dimensions here, and now we're going to add relations. And this line and this line will be parallel to each other, right? So now all three of these are parallel to each other. You go, okay, that's great. And then add relations. This line and this line are also equal in length to each other. So we just, those are the equal signs. So we go okay. So let's see what we got measured. 7, 9, 30, 17, 7.5, 9, 15. All three are parallel, and these two are equal. And what we have here is our distances up and down. So we're going to have to take half of these. So from this line, we can use this measurement from this line to here is half of 85. From this center line, we haven't drawn that yet. We'll draw it. The center line to the top is half of 118, and from the center line to here is 73 millimeters, and from the center line to this is 89, is half of 73 and half of 89. So let's go ahead and figure that out. Okay, so let's start with our center line. So we're going to zoom out here. All right, so we have center line, and you could start at this point. You can come out. It'll give you this guided line, and you can just draw it across. So we got that center line. We're going to revolve things around. All right, so now okay, we like that. That's nice. We go on to click. We hit our smart dimension, and so the first thing I'm going to do is this 85 divided by 2 is 42.5 millimeters. So let's do that first. So I go here, I go smart dimension from this point to that point, and it's 42.5 millimeters. And you hit OK, that's great. And then we have from the center line to the top, that's 118 divided by 2 is 59 millimeters. So we go, okay, this is from here to, and I want to zoom in to make sure we get the right one, there. And then that's 59 millimeters. And you hit OK. And we zoom out. Let's look over here. So we have from here to here, half of 73 is 36.5. So we're going to go, okay, I want from here, and I can zoom in a little bit to this blue line, and that's 36.5 millimeters. Okay. And then the last one we have from here, and we're going to zoom up to this guy. We want that to be 44.5 millimeters. And we go, okay. And there you go. So now we have this all smart dimension. There was a lot of smart dimensioning in there, and you have this crazy shape that looks like that. We go, okay, that's great. And now we have that all smart dimension. Now we're going to revolve this like we did with the Revolve Boss base. So here we go. Features, Revolve Boss base. And we already picked it around line 15. It already worked on that for us because it's looking for the one center line we have. 360 degrees blind. We hit OK. And then we look at it and boom, look at that. We got this nice shape now. Looks really good. Alright, so Once again, file save. Let's take a look. Yep, that's what it looks like. Looks great. All right, so now we're going to do a circular pattern here. So let's do step number 1 says click view and temporary axis. So let's see if we can do this. View, display, oh, hide show. So temporary axis. So we click on that, and there it is. There's a little temporary axis that showed up, that little blue line, because we clicked on that. View temporary axis. And that was the first step. Click on circular pattern. We're going to use that axis that it showed us. We're going to do 360 degrees. We're going to do 3 spokes, and then we have to, with equal spacing, and then we're going to select all the things we need to be copied through these things. So we're looking for click circular pattern. There's linear pattern, and right there is circular pattern. So this brings us up. So the first thing we're going to select is this. I'm going to zoom in on it, rolling my mouse. I'm going to pick this blue line here. So that's our axis 1. We're going to want this changed to 3. We're going to want 360 degrees. 360. And features and faces. So we're going to want, let's go under features, click on this. This went back to 15. So let's change this way. So it says degrees. 3, hit the backspace. 360. What? 0. I'll click over here on the side. Oh, between. Okay. So it's goofy. This is going to be, let's do 120. We want it to be around 360 degrees. But it's gonna create a circle anyway. So 120 is how we want it spaced out, because we have 3 of them, and we want them to be equal distance from each other. So the entire circle is, oh, what is that? 0. There we go. I click over here. All right, so these are equally spaced. So 360 degrees, there's 3 of them, and we want them equal distance from each other. So there's, so we come over here, we have our boss extrude. All right, so we want to do our hole. So we'll click on the hole, so you can see the hole there. We want our hex nut cut. So we got our hex nut cut, and we want our chamfer faces. All right, so let's do 1. That's all of them. All right, so the things I selected. The first thing I selected was one of these faces, and then I selected the hole, and then I selected the hex nut cut in here, and then I selected one of the chamfer. So then I'll hit this little OK button, and you'll see that this, let's go, I'm going to rotate this 360 degrees. You'll see that this spoke has been copied and evenly distributed. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit File, Save, once again. All right. So yeah, this says 360 degrees, but it's supposed to be 120 degrees for equal spacing, because what we have is we have a circle's 360 degrees, and we wanted them spaced evenly with throughout that 360 degrees. So it's 120, 120, 120. All right. So now we're gonna add fillets, and we're gonna have 4mm fillets added to the corners, and then 2mm fillets added to these edges on the sides. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so fillet, it says 10. I want 4mm. And I'm going to zoom in so I can see the lines. I want one here. Looks good. I want one here. Looks good. I'm going to rotate this to this side. I want one here. Looks good. My computer's kind of slow. I want one there. Looks good. Move this up so I can see this line. One there. And then I move this around so I can get this last line. I'm gonna just it's computer slow. That's all I gotta say about that. There you go. And then here we go. There. Then I'm gonna hit the OK button. And there you go. So I got those 4mm fillets in there. So now we got these 2mm fillets. So fillet, instead of 4, I want 2. And I want one here. I want one here. I want one here. I want one here. Let's do all these. Oh, what happened? This got moved to 12. Get rid of that. I want one here. I want one here. I want one here. One there. I want one there. Then I'm going to have to move this around over here. I want one here. Alright, so I hit OK. There you go. I have all those fillets. Let's see what else. Yep, got all that done. So now we got 6mm fillets on these edges. So fillet. Fillet. And then this is 6mm. We got it there. It's going to be low. There. 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 And there. Then we hit OK. That looks good. Then we're going to add 3mm fillets around the top edges. So we hit fillet. Three. Let's see. This line, and this line, and this line. Okay, so this line. And this line. Yep. Rotate the arrows to get this to rotate around. This one. Alright. Here. 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 Rotate the arrows to get it to move around. Here. 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 And we hit OK. Alright. And then we add 3mm fillets on the outside edge, the inside edge, the inside edge, the inside edge. Oh, and then this edge here. So these are all 3mm. So fillet, 3mm. Okay, so we got this. Oh yeah, what do you got? I don't know. This one. On this one. And this one. Is that all the way around? No. We're going to have to do these. This one. This one. And then there's this one. And this one. Alright, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this one. Is it the inside one too? No, not the inside one. So just the outside one. So that's that. So hit this. Good. Good to go. Alright, that's nice and curved. Alright, let's see what else we got. So that's all that. And then we chamfer 0.05mm for 45 for this inside part. So chamfer 5mm. Is that right? 0.5. 0.5 mm, and we pick this line right here. Okay. Alright, fine. Just that one. Alright, now we're going to hit save. Okay, here we are with task 17. We're going to add index pins, which are these guys, index pins, and index holes. First thing we want to do is we want to change to our our back view by clicking on back. So we will pick, this one says back, click on it, we have our back view. We want to select this face, and we're going to sketch a circle for construction. So we click on sketch, circle. We start in our regular place. We don't want to lock it anywhere. Make sure you don't get somewhere where it's locked in. So right in the middle is good, like this. We want to click for construction purposes, and we want to smart dimension the circle and make it 77 millimeters, 77 mm. So there we have our circle for construction at 77 millimeters. Now we need to create 2 lines, and we're going to have this one be 25 degrees of the circle, and the other one's going to be 90 degrees of the circle. So let's take a look. We want, click off smart dimension, okay, and get a line, center line for construction. We don't want to go through this middle part, so we can put it down here. This looks good. Start on the orange, make sure it's horizontal, and we click on it right there. And then we're going to do the same thing down here. We're going to take a line, click on the orange, draw it all the way across, make sure it's horizontal. There we go, horizontal, across. And okay, we want these lines, sure. Now we can smart dimension. We got the 2 points. Click on the circle, click on this point, click on that. We don't want that one, get rid of that. So edit, undo, edit, undo, edit, undo. Alright, so click here, smart dimension. We want to start on the center point, orange circle. We click on this point here, and then we click on this point here, and this one's going to be 90 degrees. 90. And we go, okay, that's good. Now we click off again, smart dimension. We click on the center. We click on this point, and we click on this point. And this one up here is going to be 25. All right. So there we have our four points. All right. Top part is 25 degrees, bottom part is 90 degrees. Alright, so now we're going to draw circles. On this side, we're going to want it to be 3.8 millimeters in the diameter, and on the other side, we want these 2 circles to be 3.9 millimeters in diameter. So we go okay with the dimensions. Now we click on circle tool, zoom in a little bit. You want to start the circle right on that point, make a little circle here, come over here, make a little circle on this point, make a little circle on this point, and make a little circle on this point. Now we can come over here, okay, smart dimension. We want this circle, that selected that circle to start with, to be 3.9 millimeters. We want this circle to be 3.9 millimeters. We want this circle to be 3.8 millimeters. We want this circle to be 3.8 millimeters. And then we go, okay, dimensions are good. Now we go into our extrude boss base. All right, I'm going to flip this over a little bit. So you can see I have all 4 circles are being extruded. Just like we have here, but we don't want to extrude all of them to 4.5. We only want to extrude 2 of them. So what we need to do is we need to do our selected contours and select just these 2 that we're going to extrude outwards. The other 2 we're going to extrude cut. You can see over here extrude cut, so that we have 2 pins and 2 holes. So all 4 of them are selected right now. So what we do is we come over here where it says selected contours. We open that up. Make sure we have it selected in here. We want this circle, and be careful, this circle. So now these 2 have been selected. This is going to be 4.5 millimeters. Okay. So we have those selected. So we have these 2 have been extruded. Now we come down here, and it says you can name this. You just double click on it and you can change the name to whatever you want. What we're going to do is we're going to come and click on the sketch here. So I hit this to extend it, and I click on the sketch, and now I go to extrude cut. Alright, now once again this wants to extrude cut all 4 of them. We're going to change this to a 5.5 millimeters, and we're going to click on selected contours, and we're going to delete that. We don't want that. We don't want the whole sketch. We're going to come over here and we're going to click on this circle and this circle. So these are going to be our extrude cuts. So when I hit check mark on this, you can see I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to type. You can see that I have these 2 pins coming out 4.5, and I have these 2 holes that are going in 5.5 millimeters. Alright, so we did that. We could rename it. You just double click on it, and then you could type anything you want in there, but we're not going to do that. We clicked OK. We didn't have to rename it. So now step 15, we want to chamfer, and we want to make it look just like over here. So we're going to click on our chamfer, select chamfer, and I want to click on this edge here and this edge here, and we want to do distance to distance, and we want the first one to be 1 millimeter, and we want the second one to be 1.5 millimeters, and then we can hit OK, and this is what it looks like. And then they show you a picture. It says, oh, this is what it's supposed to look like. Alright, so that's what it looks like. We save it, and then you're going to save this again as your wheel hub. So now that we did that, we're going to hit File, Save, and we're going to save that as our wheel hub. We already saved it as wheel hub once before, so we can just hit File, Save. Alright, so now the next part is we have to create a hole for the tube. Alright, so change to the back view again by clicking it, and then create a sketch on the back, and then sketch a vertical center line from the origin straight down. Sketch a rectangle roughly in the position shown. Okay. So, all right, we select the back here. Get the arrows. Here's the back. All right, and we want to select our base. Sketch. Center line. We start in the center and we work our way straight down. You go okay, okay. So we did the first part here. All right, so we're gonna we can do this with the corner boxes. So we want to draw a rectangle. And we want it to be coincident with this corner with the circle and that corner with our circle and the imaginary, or our center line. We want it to be right on the center line. So what we do, the best thing to do is to get this corner circle, and you can see you could start right on that point right there, and then draw it. We want it to be about 5.8, and then we smart dimension it. Alright, that's great. Smart dimension this line. Now let's do this. Edit, undo sketch. All right, so pick this corner. We're starting this. And I'll go here, and then we'll smart dimension this. Smart dimension. Boom. Click here. 5.8. Alright, so it wouldn't let me smart dimension because I had locked it in. But now that I have, so this is locked in this corner, we have it locked right there. So what I'm going to do is I could say, okay, that's great. I'm going to add a relation. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I want this point and this line to be coincident. And there we go. And I hit OK. So now we got that box that size. We got to have that created right there. So we're going to create a revolved cut by clicking on Revolve Cut. So we'll go over here, features. Waiting for this to, there we go, Revolve Cut. And it already went around the line. Let's see. (360 degrees material for entry). Okay, so here we go. So then I hit OK. And we take a look. I'm going to tap this, and we see you got a nice cut there. For some reason this didn't. All right, so I didn't bring this down all the way. So let's go back. These are the same problems you might have. Edit, undo. All right, so this let's see, add relations. This point and the circle that's below it, I get coincident. Okay, so it wasn't down all the way. It looked like it was coincident. Now we have double coincident. We have it coincident against this line and coincident against the circle. So there was just a little bit of a sliver. So we'll hit OK. All right, so now we can do the same thing. We have our features, revolve cut, hit OK. Now when this does it, we look at it, it cuts all the way through. It's a nice cut. Trying to zoom out. Nice cut through it. So that's what it should look like. And you had a little play there that if you make a simple mistake, you can just do edit undo and go back to where we are. Alright, so we want to do a little chamfer on the edges, 0.5 millimeters. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so we hit chamfer. .5 millimeters, and then we'll flip it over, zoom out, can't see the thing, zoom in, there we go, and do it right here on this edge, and then hit OK. And it's doing it. There we go, and it's done. So we chamfered the both sides there. Alright, so now we're going to add lettering, and then we'll have our hub done. Okay, so step number 1 is we go to the front view. Oops, there we go, click. So, view, zoom out, view, here we go. Oh my goodness. Front view, there we go. Create a sketch. We're going to do a center line across, and then we're going to create a arc, center line arc. So let's do this. So, whoops. Alright, so we're going to click on the front face here, this circle. That's where we're going to do our writing. And we're going to go to sketch. We're going to hit sketch. Now you can see there's already a center line there. We can do another center line. Center line arc. Start in the center. Bring it straight up. Alright, so we have that one going across. And then here is our center point arc. So we click on that. We click on the center. And then we click here and we bring it across like this. And we want to change this for construction. And we want this to be 70 degrees at radius of 47. So we hit OK, that's great. Smart dimension. Alright, so we want this to be 47 millimeters. That shows it there. And we're going to want our center point, this one, to this one, to be 70 degrees. So it's 70. And notice how it isn't, it's off a little bit. So, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a relation. And we want this line, and I might have to zoom in a little bit. There it goes. And this arc Let's get rid of that. Get rid of the arc. Delete. There's a center point for the arc. So I'm going to, there. This is the center point. No. Get rid of the arc. Delete. Zoom in a little bit more. This, now that's orange, this point. Okay, that's point. I want that to be the midpoint, and now you can see that it's been centered. Alright, so that's all been smart dimension for us. So now we're going to go under our text, sketch entities text, and we're going to end up doing all this stuff. So let's look right here is text, and you'll see we have we want this to be on our arc. Get rid of the line 1. Oh my goodness. Let's click on this arc again. Okay, so we have the arc up here. You don't want the other one. And the text that says is SolidWorks, but you're going to put your name. So I'm going to type here Brendan Noon. And you'll see how it just came across right there, Brendan Noon. All right, and you can kind of work with the fonts. I'll show you how to do what it says in the directions here. Is it says make sure that you have it fully justified. You can put center on here. You have this text outside. And then we're going to change the font, and this is the font they tell us to choose. But if you want to use something that's more your style, then you can. It's not really too relevant which one you do. All right, so we had full justify. So what that did was it makes it fill up the whole space. It pulls the letters out. This one we already selected. You could flip it over. All right. It kind of looks like a mirror, like backwards, but we want this one. We want from our left to our right, not our right to our left. There's other things you can do. You can just center it. So if it looked, you just want your name not to be so, letters not to be spread out, then you can just use the center one instead of the fully justify. But what we're going to do is when we fully justify this, we're gonna make the fonts bigger. So we click off use document font, and then we click on fonts here, and we have a whole shows us what these different fonts look like. So you can use a big, you can pick different things for that. You can pick different font sizes at 13 right now. Oh, points. Oops. Let's see. 28 might be too big. Was that 13? Let's go 24, and then I can hit OK. And that's nice. If I want it to be bigger, then I can go to 26 or 28 and hit OK. Now here's the thing with the justify is it fits in between these points, but notice, I mean, and that's okay. All of these letters kind of bleed into each other because I used a font that was kind of too large. I could change it to a different font. Let's try this one. That's way too big. Same sense, I could change the font size back down to 22. It's not a good font. So you could just you can kind of work with these things. Let's see. That looks fine. All right, so that's good. Just for these purposes. All right, so we picked our font. Once again, it tells you use Century Gothic and bold and make it 26. But you can kind of test what things you wanted. And then you click OK. So let's go to OK. And now it says we want to cut it, so we're going to hit Extrude Cut, and we're going to make it 1 millimeter deep. So Features, Extrude Cut, and it's at 5 millimeters. Let's do 1.5. Oops. 1.5 millimeters deep. And then we hit OK, and what you see is it's cut the name into the wheel hub. It says to rename it text, but that's not really too relevant. All right, so you can add color to the text. So select the text feature in the feature manners, add edit appearance, and then we can pick a color. Oops. Waiting for this to zoom out. All right, so this is what it was. Edit feature. Selecting this again. Oh, here we go. Pick red. There you go. All right. So there it is. So now that's red. Click OK. We did that. Right. All right. Create a pattern of the text. Turn on the temporary axis in the view menu. Create a pattern. Save and close. So now we go. We did this earlier. All right, so we already have it on our temporary thing. We want a circular pattern. Features the pattern. We want it revolved around center axis, and we want them to be 120 degrees apart. Oop. All right, let's see. Alright, and then we go, okay, that looks like what we wanted. And there you go. So you got, here's the name, spread out, and save and close, and that's it. That's the wheel hub. File, save, and the next part you'll just be putting together an assembly of all the items.